Hello there. On this platform every week, we relieve those critical issues and happenings from the nation's federal capital, Abuja, to your living room. This is Abuja Dispatch, and my name is Adigboyega Arogodo. Let's start off with those stories that made up our news headlines in the outgoing week.
President Muhammadu Buhari has asked the National Assembly to approve the sum of 2.557 trillion naira supplementary budget for petrol subsidy from July to December 2022 in the 2022 budget framework. Buhari's request was contained in a letter read on the floor at the commencement of Tuesday's plenary by President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan. Buhari said the amendment is necessary to accommodate some issues in the country, including petroleum subsidy, which must be considered. The federal government says the exit options available for beneficiaries of the End Power and other intervention initiatives are created to sustain them after the programs. Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management and Social Development, Hajia Sadia Umar Farouk, emphasized this while fielding questions from State House correspondents at the weekly briefing organized by the presidential media team. The minister said, among other exit strategies, about 300,000 have so far indicated interest in the loan facility being facilitated by the Central Bank of Nigeria, and over 109,000 are now entrepreneurs providing different value chains in the economy. Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court Abuja has fixed April 8th for ruling on a preliminary objection filed by the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, challenging the validity of the 15-count amended charge preferred against him by the federal government. Justice Nyako fixed a date after Mike Ozekome, SAN, counsel for Kanu, as well as Shuaibu Labaran, the prosecution counsel, had adopted arguments for and against the defendant's preliminary objection. Ozekome, counsel to Kanu, told the court that Kanu, who is currently in custody of the Department of State Service, DSS, may go blind if nothing was urgently done to restore his sight.
Welcome back. The National Assembly had recently reworked and expunged the provision for the direct party primaries from the Electoral Act. The body language of Mr. President shows that he is currently consulting widely before appending his signature. As Nigerians await this all-important presidential assent to the Electoral Amendment Bill, to be or not to be, that remains the question. Join us on our next segment, Dateline.
In any democratic system, an adequate legal framework has been recognized as a prerequisite for credible, free, and fair elections. The challenges with the conduct of elections in Nigeria since 1923 till date include, among other things, irregularities that put the entire electoral process in doubt, problems with the legislative framework which puts constraints on the electoral process, the inability of various stakeholders to play their roles, lack of independence of electoral commissions, thuggery and violence, and monetization of politics. One of the ways that have been used to address these challenges is through the Electoral Act. The Electoral Act provides for the structure of INEC, its powers and guidelines for registering voters, procedures for the conduct of elections, the registration and regulation of political parties, electoral offences, and the determination of election offences.
The only electoral bill that will be acceptable to Nigerians is an electoral bill that either enjoys the consensus of the lawmaker passing provisions that answers to election transparency and credibility. But anything that will not guarantee consensus should lead to division and voting on the floor of the two chambers, so that Nigerians can know who voted for what. And this is a global parliamentary tradition.
On return to civil rule in 1999, the first Electoral Act was passed in 2001. This was revised in 2002, 2006, and 2010. Indeed, there has always been an attempt after every election to amend the Electoral Act to take care of the deficiencies or mischief noticed during the elections. After the 2015 elections, there were attempts to amend the electoral law with the introduction of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill to, among other things, make the use of card readers legal. But the president withheld assent due to some drafting issues and the fact that the amendment was too close to the elections. There is another opportunity to amend the Electoral Act and correct the deficiencies and mischief noticed during the 2015 and 2019 general elections. The Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2021 makes provisions for card reader, clearly forbid members of political parties from taking up employment or appointment in INEC, defines overvoting clearly, and makes provision for electronic transmission of results. But it also makes provision to delete the provision for the conduct of indirect primaries and the nomination of party candidates, and making direct primaries compulsory for all political parties.
If a provision allows INEC to do everything discretionary, but says one thing INEC cannot do is to transmit results electronically, it means that someone somewhere has planned to rig the 2023 election.
Because of the provision of direct primaries for all political parties, President Muhammadu Buhari withheld assent on December 22, 2021, giving several reasons after receiving informed advice from relevant ministries, departments, and agencies. Among other reasons, the president noted that the compulsory direct primaries, which lead to the increased cost to political parties and INEC to conduct direct primaries in 8,809 wards across the country, make life difficult for small political parties, overstretch security agencies, violate freedom of choice by political parties, and give rise to litigations.
It is not the business of any political party as to how another political party decide to have their candidate in the first instance. And for the electorate, I think what they should look forward to is for political parties to come out with the best candidates that they have. Now, if a political party refuse to put up a system that will guarantee the best of candidates for their party, it is at the expense of that political party to have a candidate that will not be voted for. In essence, if a political party should feed a candidate that is not popular or that is not acceptable to the electorate, they have other contestants in other political parties. And those parties will feed candidates that could be better than the candidate that fails to bring a good candidate. So to me, it pays political parties to produce the best candidate, which can be done not just through the direct primary election. You can use the indirect primary election, or you can even go ahead to do consensus system.
In view of many, party primaries is a non-issue. The real issue is the transparency and credibility of the process, whether it is direct or indirect. The weightier issues that need to be addressed by political parties are internal democracy, using a transparent process where members and structures of the party take decisions without imposition and conducting party matters without resorting to thuggery and violence. From theory and practical experience, the mode of primaries, whether direct or indirect, is not an issue, and the National Assembly seemed to have done the needful by removing the compulsory direct primaries and sent the bill back to the president for assent.
The President of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, promised us, and he has assured us, that he supports credible elections, that he would leave an electoral legacy that is better than what we have. What does it mean? It means that what we currently have is not what the president wants to leave.
The pulse of the entire polity suggests the need for Mr. President to now do what posterity will remember him for by assenting to this all-important bill. That way, the positive provisions of the bill, especially on the card reader, strengthening of INEC, overvoting, and electronic transmission of results will be implemented in 2023 elections.
Thanks for staying with us. The fuel scarcity across the country has led to harrowing and undescribable experiences among Nigerians in the last few days. With no plausible explanation coming from the energy industry players on the causes of this trend, Nigerians across all walks of life desperately look forward to when the situation will be normalized. This is the crux of our discourse tonight on Split Views. Stay with us again. Good evening and welcome to the Split Views segments of our program ABUJA Dispatch. And on Split Views tonight, we take on the social commentator and public affairs analyst, Mr. Fifen Festus. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much. It's always a delight to be here once again.
Now, as a Nigerian, how has been your experience queuing at the first station, for the past few days now on the city of Abuja?
It's not what we'll be talking about here, but if I'm to summarize it, it has been one experience I don't want to talk about. Like 3 days ago, I queued from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. in the morning. I did not even get the products. I had to, and my car was very, very low. I had to go home that 1 a.m. I couldn't sleep properly. I was telling myself, because they said they would start to sell by 5 a.m. and that means I have to be there around 3 or 4. So I left my house around 4 a.m. only to get there, and I bought as at 11 a.m. So that's like almost 18 hours of my day looking for a product. So I know what other people went through. It's not a very good experience, really.
The fuel crisis actually started as early as November 2021, when the federal government announced, that there would be a kind of removal of the fuel subsidy stuff. And, you see the marketers started hoarding the products. But the question on the list of many people is, why should the federal government, hit all the polity, as it were, at that time?
I would always say we have stayed on this mountain for too long, this fuel subsidy problem. We were talking about this fuel subsidy removal when Dangote started building a refinery from scratch, and is almost finished now. The government, as it is, not when I mean government, I don't mean this administration. The government, as it were, this happened to be a conduit pipe. And one thing that baffles me with politicians, most of the time, they always place the cart before the horse. Because if you want to remove subsidy, and you know that subsidy, if you look at the characteristics of living things, Mr. Niger, you see that the first thing there is M, which is for movement. Now, movement is so important that anything that happens to the product of premium motor spirit, petrol, or fuel, as we call it, affects almost every sector of the economy. So things like that are very sensitive that you don't play with it. But politicians always like playing to the gallery. And Nigerians being who we are, we try to maximize every opportunity to make money. So the marketers wanted to dive into it. When they increase fuel, immediately the marketers and the filling station or wherever, they will jack up the price. But when the price comes down, you hear we are selling old stock. So they have bought at a cheaper rate. They want to hoard it so that they'll be able to sell at a exorbitant rate and make so much money. So you should expect that from businessmen. But the blame should go to the politicians that play with almost everything just to score cheap political points.
Now, in some quarters, people say that Nigeria is like a theater of absurdities. We now hear about fuel that is contaminated. And to a layman on the street, doesn't understand when a fuel is contaminated. According to some marketers, association yesterday, they said that almost about 200 vehicles' engines have been damaged as a result of this. Now, how did you find ourselves into a level where Nigeria is now importing contaminated fuel?
Some people should be sacked, but nobody wants to talk about that one. And it boils down to our value system in Nigeria. I always talk about this value system. In the civil service, it is over-bloated. When we say it's over-bloated, it's not as if the number is really much. The number is not the problem. People that are employed and are not doing anything. And by the grace of God, my eldest brother is into shipping, so I have the knowledge of what happens there. For every consignment that lands, bats at the shore of the Nigerian seaport, what you do is that we have different agencies that goes there to certify the quality of what you have brought in. If it has to do with food, we have people from NAFDAC and other agencies. This is petroleum products. There are people in, I don't know if I use the word defunct DPR now, but in NNPC, that are so important of petroleum, as they told us before now, there are departments that will ensure the quality of what you have brought in. But what we now have in Nigeria is that most of those people now prefer to stay in the offices, enjoy air conditioners, and collect salary at the end of the month. That's why you see that people say that the civil service is over-bloated. Now, it's a failure on the part of NNPC. There's no point speaking grammar about it. It's a failure on the part of those that are saddled with the responsibility of ensuring that quality product enters into this country. And in a normal society, we use the word in a normal society, people should have been sacked by now. So Nigeria, theater, if you say theater, you haven't been mad. It's now, let me use the word carefully now, a home video of absurdities, because now it is well packaged, even edited and treated to suit what they want it to be at the same time. So it's very, very unfortunate, but this is where we are. Until we get tired, we can't live here.
And it's even so much unfortunate, about 2 days ago, the Melekari of NNPC said that, well, as it's where Nigeria doesn't even have the capacity to test for that contaminated fuel in the country. So are we sure that, days to come, that we still will not have this kind of system, even in our, across, fuel stations, having this contaminated fuel? How do we now know?
I'm not speaking for him, but I think the GMD, I don't know if they still call him GMD, now that they said that they are privatized and they are turning NNPC, PLC, and some other things. Now, he's been economical with the truth. We have refineries in this country. We have labs in this country. We have people. We have Standard Organization of Nigeria. What are they? So they are telling us that they cannot verify fuel. They cannot verify. He's just not telling us the truth. Because even wherever you are buying any product, you remember in those days where you see, when you want to buy in the fuel station, the gas station, they say you want to buy super or you want to buy ordinary. It is the additives that have been added to the super that makes it super. So the place where you bought from, what are you buying from there? If you have done it's possible that that particular product is made for another country. So if the people that are supposed to give you something good, they gave you something bad, they should be held responsible for that. So, even this funny statement, at the time there was a directive that the people should be punished, those that were responsible for the importing the product should be punished, and later on again, we now started hearing that the president never ordered anybody to punish. We are just dancing around the circle. So for that particular question, Mele Kyari, the GMD of an NPC, is being economical with the truth. Maybe it's just playing to the gallery to play politics with it.
Now, when you say there's scarcity of fuel, and people are blaming it on hoarding, and some are saying it's the contaminated fuel, to a layman on the street who is now trying to pump maybe his generator or something, what explanation can we give to them that, okay, this is what is causing fuel scarcity?
An average layman in Nigeria does not trust the government. So no matter how beautiful, whatever you package to tell them, they don't even care. They won't even listen to you. But they also know that there is a contaminated fuel. It's not just a fuel that destroys engine. So they understand that one very, very well.
How do you get that out of the filling stations that have been distributed now?
That is where
you have the logistics, as it were. It's
not a difficult thing, but it's capital intensive. And for a businessman, he will not want to bear the cost alone. What is the position of the government? I have it on authority. I wouldn't mention my source here, that those that imported this product are telling the government, now we have used money to import. They're even giving us different figures, but the last time I checked, if that figure is anything to go by, that they had about 300 million liters of this product that is contaminated. Now, the government, in a way, the marketers were saying, okay, let us bear the brunt, let's share the cost. And the government does not want to believe that you can spend money for a product you are not using. What they do with those products in most cases is to dispense it off, not to sell it, just to waste it. But the marketers will not want to do that. That is why if you look at, we just have to pray from now. For the next 4 or 5 months, we just have to pray, because I can tell you for free that those marketers will not dispose that fuel. They will still sell it. And as of today, when we are giving a figure of 200 vehicles, those are people that they know, people that are called in. As I'm talking to you now, I have more than 3 of my colleagues that they don't even know where they belong as far as that is concerned. So in Nigeria, since there's nobody that is responsible and nobody will take punishment for whatever happens to us, I can tell you for free that fuel, they will still sell it, cars will still be destroyed, pollution, everything will still happen, and nobody will go for it. So don't be too surprised. Whenever you have to buy petrol, wherever you go to now, either for your generator or for your vehicle or any motor stuff that you're using, pray very, very well not to buy that bad one. It will take time for it to leave.
The Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Military, has assured the public that in the next 2 weeks, that the situation of fuel shortage in some parts of the country will be over. Now, what survival strategy will you recommend to Nigerians who use these products for their daily going, their daily movement, their daily life?
Okay, let me give you my family as an example. For the past 5 days, I've not put on generator, the power generating set. And what we have also realized before that time, because before it became hard, we already knew that there was contaminated product and people were trying to say, let me not buy. So when I bought one and it was not disturbing me, I had to put timetable in my house, how we on gen and what we do with generating set. And these days, if you have a car, you must be very, very certain where you are going to before you start driving. I'm not even talking about the product. Now, let me tell you my fear. In a few weeks to come, when I mean a few weeks, as from on Monday, you will realize that because of this scarcity, the price of fuel came up, buying 10 liters for as much as 7,000 naira. You realize that the cost of food will follow. Because to transport this food to where they will need it, they need petrol, and these people are buying black market exorbitant rate. So for you to survive now, you have to go into proper planning. Thank God for COVID-19 that taught us the rudiment of planning. You have to plan more now to be able to survive it.
Mr. Festus Fifa is a social commentator and public affairs analyst. He has been our guest tonight on Split Views. Thank you for your time. Mr. Festus Fifa is a social commentator and public affairs analyst, and he has been our guest tonight on Split Views. Thank you for your time, sir.
It's a pleasure, sir.
The idea is to pick you up from a level, empower you with skills, competencies, so that you can be able to apply your God-given intellectual and creative energy. If you are a graduate, you are given opportunity to teach, in addition to a lot of information given to you. You are given an opportunity to work in a healthcare facility, supporting, they call them volunteers anyway, in addition to a lot of information given to you to survive. You are given opportunity to work on farms through the agriculture development programs as extension officers, again with a lot of information for you to pick the pieces. While you do this, every month you have an allowance of 30,000. What we have realized is that there is a need for huge reorientation. Some people actually believe that after they have been attached for a year or 2 years, they will be given a job in the civil service. Some people think they will be given credit instantly after that. So there's a lot of feeling out of the young people that are being attached under Empower. But based on that realization, the ministry has expanded its partnership with the National Orientation Agency, with the NYSC, with the Ministry of Information, to ensure that we build up this orientation to make sure that if you are a chap, you are a graduate, you had nothing before, you have a certificate, now you have 30,000 every month. Will you be able to now remember that in a year, if I were to be saving 5,000, this is what I'm going to get, and then I'll get on with my life in trying to access the other bits and pieces.
That is how far time can permit us tonight on Abuja Dispatch. For marketing details and adverse placements, you can reach us out at Lagos Television Abuja Bureau Office, number 78 Rafshudende Street, Central Business District, Abuja. For comments and suggestions, you can reach us out on any of our various social media platforms. Thank you for sharing your precious moments with us tonight on Abuja Dispatch. A week from now, we'll bring you another refreshing episode. My name is Adegboyega Rogodo. Have a good night.